Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna. Now we are live on YouTube also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Let's do a small prayers now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Mahavishnu Goswaminiti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsav ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So Hare Krishna, very nice to see all of you. Many of us will be fasting as well without water. We are nearly alive, nearly dead. Now with seeing all your faces, moon-like faces, we enliven our day. And let us get into the philosophy of understanding Krishna. Remembrance of Krishna is actually, how we say, it's a birth of Krishna in our heart. When you love somebody, you remember somebody all the time. That's what happens when people are newly married or before marriage when one falls in love. There is a stage, best stage. That is our stage of Vrindavan, when we can be with Radha and Krishna, loving Krishna. So, very insignificant way. This is our small way of trying to remember Krishna. So, I would like to invite now devotees, please, who would like to inaugurate and start with our discussion today on realization.
I can start, Prabhu.
Jai. Avinash Prabhu ki Jai.
I don't know, means yes. And yes, Prabhu. So as you rightly said, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, we'll start from verse Bhagavad Gita 4.9, that the verse we cannot miss out today. And then I have been lately reading Nectar of Devotion, and I have been reading it again and again, and probably I'll share some experiences, some realization from that book. And obviously, we cannot complete our realization unless we go back to Bhagavatam and see what is there, which I have understood, which relates to my realizations today. So we all know this famous verse. Janma karma cha me divyam eyam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. I'll just recite once more. Janma karma cha ve divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. One who knows the transcendental nature of my experience and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So that's how important today is. We are so lucky that we are able to, in spite of all those serious situations prevailing in the country, lockdown, and we are able to celebrate, share our realizations, and talk about Krishna and his Janmashtami. We had a very knowledgeable, very wonderful discussion by a devotee who has been in ISKCON for 40 years. So I don't feel like sharing my experiences. He related all those pastimes of Krishna's birth very nicely. So we'll discuss, as Amrish Prabhu said, we'll discuss the philosophy side, which actually comes out of this verse. We'll quickly read the small part of the part, and then we'll go to the my relations on nectar of devotion. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore returns to the kingdom of Godhead immediately after quitting his present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalist and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve merging into the impersonal Brahmanjyoti of the Lord is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotees, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run a risk of returning to his material world. So my relation on this, how I actually understand the philosophy. I understand that Krishna consciousness is very personal, and we all are busy in realizing our very personal constitutional position and be established in loving and serving Krishna. And this can be easily achieved by following a bona fide spiritual process under guidance and in the association of the like-minded devotees who have similar beliefs and goals. So my relation is that without this, actually it is very difficult. In fact, I will say it's impossible to to understand our spiritual constitutional position. Therefore, every individual soul will have unique realization and understanding of Krishna and scriptures. Basically, it is a self-improvement process to develop pure love of God and be engaged in pure devotional service. And this is exactly what we are doing. My lessons from the Nectar of Devotion, I have been very lately reading this book and been loving it. I did try to read it in the past, but I remember very clearly that I could not develop a taste. And I thought, okay, this is not for me, probably I just could not relate things. But now I understand why it is important for devotees to actually read and study Science of Self-Realization, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instructions, Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, before we can understand this kind of scripture. In the preface, Prabhupada very clearly writes that the Nectar of Devotion is specifically presented for persons who are now engaged in the Krishna consciousness movement. And this book talks about how to love God, how to become a pure devotee, what are the stages we go into, and a spontaneous love, going into Bhav stage, and there are various stages of understanding Krishna. So I actually found one particular chapter, chapter 19, which I thought I must share, and then how it relates to me, to my realization. Chapter 19 is devotional service in pure love of God. When one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. In the beginning, a devotee is engaged in the regulatory principles of devotional service by the order of his spiritual master. When one thereby becomes completely purified of all material contamination, there develops an attachment and taste for devotional service. This taste and attachment, when gradually intensified in the course of time, becomes love. So this is where it becomes very serious now. The word love can be actually applied only in relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, love is not applicable at all. What goes on under the name of love is material world is nothing but lust. There is a gulf of difference between love and lust, like the difference between gold and iron. In Narad Pancharatra, it is clearly stated that when lust is completely transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the concept of kinship is completely reposed in him, such is accepted as pure love of God by great authorities like Bhishma, Prahlad, Uddhava, and Narad. So, the difference between love and lust. So, whatever love we call, whatever we call it as love, and if it has got our own desire for sanctification, whatever it is, that lust. And understanding that Krishna is fountain head of love, not lust, that's the critical part which actually I realized from this, that what is the difference between these two words. And then this goes further into ecstasy, that how actually we go further deeper once we realize the difference between these two words. Ecstatic love of Godhead can be potentially invoked simply by following the rules and regulation of devotional service as their prescribed scriptures under the direction of bona fide spiritual master. In this book, it is very categorically written that a lot of people actually go to this level without following this process. And I remember the Babaji and Maharaj, and they give you that mood. Okay, I'll give you this, you become like. And Prabhupada talks about those kind of, no, I should say devotees in this book very elaborately. In the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhāgavatam, this ecstatic love born of the execution of regulative devotional service is explained. A devotee in the course of executing the regulative principles of devotional service develops his natural Krishna consciousness, and being thus softened at heart, he chants and dances like a madman. While performing chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he sometimes cries, sometimes talks wildly, sometimes sings, and sometimes, without caring for any outsider, dance like a madman. These are the symptoms. Now we come to the mercy part, the Lord's extraordinary mercy. And this is also very interesting. And there are a few points which struck me, which I'll probably share. When a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord in ecstatic love, it is to be understood that such a position has been awarded by the Lord himself out of his causeless extraordinary mercy. An example of such extraordinary mercy is given in the 11th canto, 12th chapter, verse 7 of Srimad Bhāgavatam, wherein Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, please listen very carefully. And I have to, yeah. The gopis in Vrindavan did not study the Vedas to achieve me, nor had they ever been in holy places of pilgrimage, nor did they devotedly executed any regulative principle, nor did they undergo any kind of austerity. It is simply by my association that they have attained the higher perfection of devotional service. This point has been discussed before also. I remember Amrish was talking about this point, and but it's never went into my head. And why this happens, and what kind of situation gopis are, what they were in their previous life, and yeah, so this is very interesting. So I would like to refer that verse which Prabhupada writes here, which Srila Rupa Goswami is referring here, 11th canto, 12th chapter, verse 7. But before I go there, I would like to just caution everyone, to the people who are interested. Even after executing all kinds of penances and austerity, one cannot always see Krishna inside and out, and he has executed his performance uselessly. So I think this is the ultimate situation of pure devotional service. And Prabhupada, in the purport of this verse, write very nicely. Tenadhita shuti gana nupasita mahatmana nupasita mahata maha avritatpa tapasaha mata sangan mam upagataha Tenadhita Shuti Gana Nopasita Mahattamaha Avarata Tapasaha Mata Sangan Mama Upagataha. Translation. The person I have mentioned did not undergo serious studies of the Vedic literature, nor did they worship great saintly persons, nor did they execute severe vows or austerities. Simply by association with me and my devotees, they achieved me. So this is the actual verse which Prabhupada is referring here, which Srila Rupa Goswami is referring here, and Prabhupada is translating in the Bhagavatam. And the introduction part of chapter of Canto 11 is also very interesting because it talks about Vrindavan. In this chapter, the glories of holy association of the super excellence of the pure love of the residents of the Vrindavan are described. The association of saintly devotees destroys the soul's attachment to the material life and is capable of bringing even the Supreme Lord Krishna under one's control. Neither yoga, Sankhya philosophy, ordinary religious duties, study of scriptures, austerities, renunciation, work of Ishta and Putram, charity, vows of fasting, worship of the deity, secret mantras, visiting of holy places, nor adherence to any major or minor regulatory principles can affect the same result. In every age, there are demons, monsters, birds, and animals who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and there are also human beings in the categories of businessmen, women, workers, outcast, and so on. So businessmen, same category, who cannot study the Vedic scriptures. Nevertheless, by the purifying effect of association of devotees, they may all achieve the supreme abode of the personality of Godhead, whereas without such saintly association, even those very seriously endeavoring in yoga, Sankhya, study, charity, vows, and practice of the renounced order of life may remain incapable of attaining the supreme personality of Godhead. The young damsels of Vrija, ignorant of the true identity of Lord Krishna Chandra, considered him to be their paramour who would give them pleasure, yet by the power of their constant association with Sri Krishna, they attained to the supreme absolute truth, which even great demigods like Brahma cannot achieve. The young women of Vrindavan displayed such deep attachment to Lord Krishna that their minds, which were overflowing with the ecstasy of being with him, perceived an entire night spent in his company as just a fraction of a second. However, when Akrura took Sri Krishna along with Baladeva to Mathura, the gopis then thought each night without him to be equal in duration to a millennium of the demigods. Being tormented by separation from Lord Krishna, they could not imagine anything that could give them satisfaction other than his return. This is incomparable excellence of the gopis' pure love of God. And that's what we're trying to achieve. And we are struggling. I'm struggling. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, after imparting these instructions of Uddhava, advised that for the sake of attaining the absolute truth, Uddhava should give up all consideration of religion and irreligion as promulgated in the Shrutis and Smritis, and instead take shelter of the example of women of Vrindavan. And I should mention here that the name of the chapter is Beyond Renunciation and Knowledge. So that's what we are discussing. Now I go to that verse which we have been referring, and how simple Krishna makes it by referring that, by giving that instruction to Arjuna, which I started with Janma Karma Chame Divyam. That's what we don't understand. So verse text 7 is, the person I have mentioned did not undergo serious studies of the Vedic literature, nor did they worship great saintly person, nor did they execute severe vows in austerities. Simply by association with me and my devotees, they achieved me. Srila Rupa Goswami very nicely describes further in the book about the various stages, how we progress to this level, which probably not I prepared for. So I'll go to this purport here, which I must share so that I make a sense here. Study of the Vedic literature, worship of those who teach the Shruti mantras, acceptance of vows and austerities, etc., as mentioned previously, are helpful process that please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, however, the Lord again explains that all such processes are secondary to the essential process of associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. By other process, one may gain the association of the Lord and his devotees, which will actually give the perfection of life. The word Mat Sangat can also be read as Sat Sangat, with the same meaning. In the reading Mat Sangat, from association with me, Mat is also understood to indicate those who are mine or the devotees. Srila Sridhara Swami mentioned that the pure devotees can advance in Krishna consciousness by his own association. Srila Sridhar Swami mentioned that a pure devotee can advance in Krishna consciousness by his own association, since simply by associating with his own activities and consciousness, he associates with the Lord. So that's my realization. And the last sentence, which Prabhupada, or which has been mentioned, the purport, that says Srila Sridhar Swami mentioned that a pure devotee can advance in Krishna consciousness by his own association, since simply by associating with his own activities and consciousness, he associates with the Lord. So my understanding and realization is that it is a process of self-realization. It is the process that how we actually improve ourselves on the path of devotional service, and how we are competing with ourselves. But the Krishna is mentioning here that what are the process, what are the tools, how we can do it by associating with devotees, following a bona fide system. And to make it very simple, Krishna has already mentioned that whosoever knows, the translation is, one who knows the transient nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body takes his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So this is as simple as this, and it is up to us that how we actually realize this and how we are able to perfect our life to go back to Godhead, taking advantage of the association of devotees. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Avinash Prabhu. That was very detailed and insightful. Thank you very much. You've done some hard work today and given us the advantage as well. Yes, who would like to speak now, please? Feel free.
Hare Krishna, can I say a few words? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Avinash Prabhu, for your very nice realization, very much in depth. I've just made some very small points. So I was thinking about the point of what is Krishna consciousness. So, we're all we're all following the process of bhakti yoga, but what does it mean to be Krishna conscious? And I saw this very nice lecture by Srila Prabhupada. It's a small interview in the early stages of him being in America, and he was asked this question about what is Krishna consciousness. So he referred to Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, verse 34. I'll just recite the verse in the translation. I'm sure we all know this verse. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eveshyasi yuktevam atmana matparayanaha. So I'll read the word to word synonyms as well. Matmanaha, always thinking of me. Bhava, become. Sorry, bhava, become. Mat, my. Bhaktaha, devotee. Mat, my. Yaji, worshipper. Mam, unto me. Namaskuru, offer obeisances. Mam, unto me. Eva, completely. Esyasi, come. Yukta evam, being absorbed. Atmanam, your soul. Matparayanaha, devoted to me. So, always thinking of me, become my devotee, my worshipper, unto me, offer obeisances unto me, completely come, being absorbed, your soul, devoted to me. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So here, Lord Krishna, as very nicely mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is basically summarizing what Krishna consciousness is, what we are aiming for, what is our purpose of joining this Bhakti Yoga movement. So Krishna consciousness is essentially engaging oneself in the service of the Lord with the understanding that there's no difference between, with the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is absolute. So there's no difference between his body, his mind, or himself. They're all, everything is absolute. So Prabhupada mentions that there was just one point here that with this understanding, he also linked it to a second verse, which is Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, verse 5, in which Prabhupada mentions that how we can use this understanding to develop our Krishna consciousness. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, verse 5, I'll skip the word to word synonyms, and I'll just do the verse and the translation. Klesho dikhatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta higatir dukham dehavad bhiravapyate. So translation: for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Now, this Prabhupada here, Lord Krishna goes a bit more deeper into what the distinction is between our path of Krishna consciousness and other paths such as Bhakti Yogi, Gnana Yogis and impersonalists. But before that, Prabhupada mentions that to easily engage oneself in the service of the Lord, which is the purpose of Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna himself incarnates as Archa Vigraha, so in the form of deities with which we can worship Lord Krishna, engage in devotional service. So we cook for Lord Krishna, we dress Lord Krishna, we offer prayers to Lord Krishna, we follow certain routines, certain devotional service activities. And Lord Krishna very mercifully comes down as, not comes down, but incarnates as Archa Vigraha, as deities. Prabhupada mentions in the purport a very important point here. Let me just get to it. So he says that the bhakti yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. So because of our, because we are, material, and we have our bodily concept, therefore Lord Krishna very nicely comes in that form, and within which we can have a personal relationship. If we constantly perform devotional service to the deities or to the Archa Vigraha, then we have understanding of a personal connection with Lord Krishna. So with this in mind, let's go to the actual purport of this verse, chapter 12, verse 5. So Srila Prabhupada, the main context of this purport and the main premise of this purport is to explain the difference between bhakti yogis and gnana yogis, or other words, impersonalists. So Prabhupada mentions in the very beginning, Prabhupada mentions that it is very difficult to follow the process of gnana yoga, or following the path of the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. So compared to Bhakti Yoga, Srila Prabhupada says that this path is very difficult. So why is that? As it happens, most spiritual people, or most people who are into spiritual activities without the concept of the personal feature of the Lord, they are mostly people who believe in voidism, or who have a very very void attitude of what it is to be a spiritual person. So Prabhupada says that the reason that the path of bhakti yoga is much more easy compared to gnana yoga is because we fulfill the blissful nature of the soul. So those who follow gnana yoga, they may gain knowledge through reading Upanishads, through reading literature. And they may also understand the unmanifested personality of Godhead, the Parabrahman, through certain literatures. But that itself is very difficult to achieve if one doesn't have the bliss which we get from engaging in devotional service. Krishna gives us the way to reach him directly and immediately, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 34, which I mentioned earlier, in engaging in devotional service. So engaging in devotional service is the single most important part of what it is to be Krishna conscious, because then we can fulfill the nature of the soul, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So those who may follow Gnana Yoga through some form or another, they can they can understand their eternal nature, they can get knowledge, but the bliss is not there. The bliss that we gain from performing devotional service and from developing our own personal relationship with Lord Krishna. And of course, by serving other devotees as well. Yes, that was the main point which I understood from this verse, and it made me understand a bit more what it is to be Krishna conscious. And one last point here, that without the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, we would not be able to actually follow the process properly. It could be whimsically. We may, do certain things. We may engage in what we believe to be devotional service, but it may not be sanctified. It may not be appropriate. So the bona fide spiritual master, the disciplic succession, is why it's there. It's to put us in line. It's to make us it's to give us the proper way of performing devotional service. So that is why people like Srila Prabhupada, Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, and the rest of the bona fide spiritual masters within the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and also other Sampradayas. That is why they're so important. And that is why Srila Prabhupada is so important, because he has condensed this entire literature, this entire knowledge of devotional service, of bhakti yoga, into, and he's given it to us in a much more simplified, unambiguous way, in which all we have to do is follow the process. And that is why Srila Prabhupada is so important. And therefore, as Prabhupada mentions himself, that the bona fide spiritual master, we are already in a position where we understand that the knowledge we are gaining from the books is bona fide. So there's no question of diverting to anywhere else or not having the full knowledge. So all we have to do is engage in devotional service and unlock the blissful component, and therefore understand a constitutional position. So yeah, basically, without Srila Prabhupada's books and without the understanding of what devotional service actually entails, we would at our core either be atheists or impersonalists, or even personalists, but without a firm understanding of how to engage our senses, which is the most important thing. So yeah, sorry, that's basically my realization. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Sahabar Krishna Prabhu. Very nice and detailed realization. Very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Yes, please, feel free to jump in.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Sridhar Prabhu, please continue.
Yes, I would like to share. First of all, thank you very much, Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhu and Avinash Prabhu, for your very detailed and nice realization. I think I think it must have taken long time to actually read and prepare all that. So actually, I was thinking what I'm going to share on this Janmashtami occasion. So I was a bit puzzled because, actually we can share anything because whole Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is all about Krishna. So I was thinking on that point, but I had this verse actually always in my mind for a long time, and it's sort of actually I realized that I could share that realization, and it's very relevant to Janmashtami as well. So, in our last program, we discussed actually how Krishna appeared, and it was very nicely explained by Damodar Pandit Prabhu. And I was reading the Krishna book, and it was Prabhupada has actually wrote that very, very nicely. It was very engaging as reading that. So I chose this verse because this is actually a verse from Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10. So actually I came to know this verse through just reading through one of the references in the past. And these are actually the prayers sung by demigods to Lord Krishna when Lord Krishna was in the womb of Devaki Mataji. So I will just actually read the introduction and then we'll get to the purport. So as described in this chapter, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the womb of Devaki to kill Kamsa, all the demigods understood that the Lord was living within Devaki's womb, and therefore in veneration they offered him the Garbhastuti prayers. The Kamsa, under the protection of his father-in-law Jarasan, and with the help of his demonic friends like Pralam, Baka, Chanura, Trinvarta, Aghasura, Mushtika, Bana, Bhaum Sura, began oppressing the members of Yadu dynasty. Therefore, the members of Yadu dynasty left their homes and sought shelter in such states as Kuru, Panchal, Kekeya, Salva, Vidarbha. Only some of them stayed with Kamsa as nominal prince. After Kamsa killed Shadgarbhas, the 6 sons of Devaki, one after another, Anantadev entered Devaki's womb and was transferred to the womb of Rohini by manipulation of Yogamaya, who was following the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord Himself, who was soon to appear as the 8th son of Devaki, ordered Yogamaya to take birth from the womb of Yashoda Devi. Because Krishna and his potency Yogamaya appear simultaneously as brother and sister, the world is full of Vaishnavas and Shaktas, and there is certainly some rivalry between them. Vaishnavas worship the Supreme Lord, whereas Shaktas, according to their desires, worship Yogamaya in forms like Durga, Bhadrakali, Chandika. Following the orders of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya transferred Baladev, Shankarshan, the 7th child of Devaki, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Shankarshan appears in order to increase love of Krishna, he is known as Baladev. One may take auspicious strength from him to become a devotee of the Lord, and therefore he is also known as Balabhadra. After Yogamaya transferred the 7th child of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared within the heart of Vasudeva and transferred himself into the heart of Devaki. Because the Lord was present in her heart, Devaki, as her pregnancy continued, and appeared effulgent. Upon seeing this effulgence, Kamsa was full of anxiety, but he could not harm Devaki because of their family relationship. Thus he began indirectly thinking of Krishna and become fully Krishna conscious. That was a very interesting point. Meanwhile, because of the Lord's presence within the womb of Devaki, and all the demigods came to offer Lord their prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they said, is eternally the absolute truth. The spiritual soul is more important than gross body, and the super soul, Paramatma, is still more important than the soul. The Supreme God is absolutely independent, and his incarnations are transcendental. The prayers of the demigods glorify and exalt devotees and explain the fate of person who superficially consider themselves liberated from the conditions of material nature. A devotee is always safe. When a devotee fully surrenders at the lotus feet of Lord, he is completely liberated from the fear of material existence. By explaining why Supreme Personality of Godhead descends, the prayers of the demigods clearly confirm Lord's statement in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 7. So this very famous verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutamaya dharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So yeah, Krishna declares this very boldly. So we'll come to the verse 10.2.26. So that's where actually demigod prayed to the Lord. So this very melodious verse. So I'll sing it first. Satyavratam satyaparam tri satyam satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam riti satya netram satyam tam sharanam prapannam. So it's very interesting actually. About, I think it's about 9 times the word Sat is mentioned in this verse, and Prabhupada gave a very revealing purport on this verse, where it says that actually, if neglected by Supreme Personality of Godhead, a child despised the presence of his parent will suffer, and a deceased person despised all medical help will die. In this material world, when there is a struggle for existence, men have invented many means for protection, but these are useless if the Supreme Personality of Godhead rejects them. Therefore, the demigod purposefully say, Satyam Akam Tam Sharanam Prapanna, The real protection can obtain from you, O Lord, and therefore will surrender unto you. If one surrenders unto me sincerely, saying, My Lord, from this day I fully surrender unto you, I always give him protection. This is my vow. Ramayan Yuddha Kand, I think chapter 18, verse 33. The demigods offered their praises to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he had now appeared in the womb of his devotee Devaki to protect all the devotees and harassed by Kamsa and his lieutenants. Thus, Lord acts as Satyavrat. The protection given by Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be compared to the protection given by demigods. It is said that Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Ramchandra went to kill him, Lord Shiva could not give him protection. So, yeah, this clearly states that actually the real protection can only be given by Lord Krishna himself. So there is another verse in Bhagavad Gita. So where was it? Ananyasa chintayanto mam ejanaha pariyupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So actually, I was meditating on that verse about a couple of weeks ago, and I realized that this is my personal experience actually that has like a couple of weeks ago actually when that actually lockdown started around the same time actually I lost my job as redundancy, and same happened to my uh, wife as well. So actually, it was very difficult situation. I didn't really want it to be in one, but I was a bit disturbed initially. So I was thinking about our devotional service and why that happened. So thank you very much to Amrish Prabhu and Guru Maharaj, all these transcendental mellows. So I was remembering them because Prabhuji always taught us actually whenever we are in a very difficult situation, even though it wasn't that difficult, actually we should intensify our devotional service. So I thought about it quite a lot. So initially it was a bit hard to actually focus, but I just kept chanting and kept doing the whatever services I get. And whenever I get opportunity, start reading Bhagavatam. So Guru Maharaj also mentioned that actually you will find all the solution in Bhagavatam. So I was doing that whenever I get time, and I realized that actually it does help to actually to reduce, your anxiety whenever you read Bhagavatam, and you always try to feel that actually you found the solution why few things are happening. So even there was a nice story. I think I don't remember exactly, but where Lord Krishna was described as well-wisher, uh, where where it is stated that sometime Lord try to help you, but you think that that God is not helping. Sometimes we don't understand that, but we just need to have that patience and try to see hand of Krishna in everything that is happening. And in the end, you will realize that actually how Krishna helps you. So actually, I remember that as well. And yeah, at the same time, I spoke to His Grace Amrish Prabhu, His Grace Avinash Prabhu, and they were always reassured me at the time. And that's how I actually able to actually able to keep my focus on my chanting and reading the actually Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And it really helped me at the time. And as you know, eventually I found the job later on in the Wellington, but I wasn't really happy when I found the job, and I was surprised that actually I should be happy, but I'm not happy. So I didn't really wanted to move on because I know if I actually leave the Auckland, I have to actually leave the Namata, and how I'm going to actually stay without Namata. And also you have to move away from family as well. So I wasn't really happy, but actually I was a bit satisfied that at least I have something in hand at the time. But again, I got another offer from Auckland, and I wasn't that much very much keen. But Amrish Prabhu said, maybe just go and give it a try. You're not going to lose anything, and that turned out to be a really good opportunity. So I realized that actually means Krishna work in a mystical way. So that was a really very important realization for me. That is a quite revealing experience. And I was thinking as the verse that actually Satyavrat means Krishna means always keep his promise, as he declared in this verse in Bhagavad Gita as well. But I was realized that the same verse actually I think I didn't read the translation for that Bhagavatam verse. The demigod prayed, "O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which is therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. So you are the active principle, the real truth in all the ingredients of creation, and therefore you are known as Antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone, for all the time. You are beginning of all truth, and therefore offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. So the main point it is mentioned here is that unless you are completely truthful, so if you are hypocrite, I think Krishna means this verse clearly states that you cannot achieve the actually favor of Lord Krishna. So I was thinking on that point as they means with all truth actually I'm not actually devotee. Actually I'm just trying to be one. So I still have a lot of contamination and all the inebrities. They are actually the attachment to the matter and all that, but we try to just purify our existence, and still we see a lot of mercy Krishna in our lives. And I was meditating on that point, and I realized that actually it's not that we are qualified to receive the Krishna's mercy, but actually we are getting this mercy because only through our actually disciplic succession. So because we are following His Grace Amrish Prabhu and Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, because only through them we can able to get this mercy, and that's why it is called as causeless mercy. So that is my realization, Prabhuji. So Krishna will always give protection. I think we just need to have that firm faith and need to have that patience as well. And you will actually means I'm pretty sure everyone must have their own realizations, but that is the most actually recent realization that I had, and actually it does really help to actually firm up my faith in whatever actually all the teachings that I have received through our actual program. So thank you very much, Amrish Prabhu, and all the devotees for your guidance and support. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He is the fountainhead of mercy for all of us. Thank you. Thank you, Srila Prabhu, for your very nice realization. Yes, now who would like to speak? Sanjay Prabhu, would like to speak?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share my realization. And thank you, Chitra Prabhu. The personal realization is always the best and very encouraging also. And Avinash Prabhu and Krishna Das Prabhu, very nice realizations. What I realized from this auspicious day is the three main points that I want to discuss. And I got some references from Srimad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And I'll probably be reading the verse and some points from Srila Prabhupada's purports. So the 3 points is the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And number 2 is the purpose of Krishna's advent. And number 3 is pastime of Krishna Janma or birth. So the first point that I would like to refer was Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 28. Ete cham skalaha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either planary portions or portions of the planary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So here, Srila Prabhupada given very elaborate purport. So there's few points that avatar means one who descends. So all the avatars, incarnations of the Lord, descends to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes he comes himself, and sometimes his different expansions and part of expansions descends on this material world. Originally, the Lord is full of opulences. Example, when in the room, small electric bulbs are displayed, it doesn't mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate the large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnation of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. For example, Lord Parshuram and Lord Narsimha exhibited power. Narada, Varaha, and Lord Buddha exhibited faith. Lord Ram and Dhanvantari exhibited fame. Lord Balaram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, and Kumaras and Kapila exhibited knowledge. And Nara and Narayan exhibited renunciation. So in other places, the incarnations are described as Bhagwan because of their specific functions. Nowhere are they declared to be the Supreme Personality. The Sammam Bonam Krishna is one without a second. The word Swayam is particularly mentioned to confirm that Lord Krishna has no other source. He himself has expanded in various parts, portions, and particles. So here, Srila Prabhupada said that the Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakash, Tad Ekatma, Parabhava, Vilasa, and Avatara. Till Avatara, these are the Vishnu Tattvas, and Avesha and Jiva is Jiva Tattvas. So Lord Krishna possesses all 64 principles, spiritual attributes in full 100%, all Vishnu Tattvas expansions of the Lord possesses 93% of these spiritual attributes. And Lord Shiva, who is neither avatar nor avesha, nor in between them, possesses almost 84% of these attributes. And Jiva Tattva possesses up to 78% of the attributes. In conditioned states, Jiva possesses these in very minute quantity. Most perfect living being in Brahma, who possesses 78%, and all other demigods have less quantity. So from these points, from the purpose, we can understand that Srila Prabhupada explained that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is supreme, and no one is above him. He is person and has personality, and he is Godhead, the fountainhead of all the avatars and expansions. And the second point is the purpose of Krishna's advent. So Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, has different expansions and avatars. Then why he himself descends in this material world? What is the purpose? He can get anything done by his unlimited energies. The reference is in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 6, 7, and 8. I want to just quickly read. अजो अपि सन् अव्यात्मा भूतानाम् ईश्वरो अपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वाम् अधिष्ठाय संभवायामि आत्ममायया. Translation: Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So from this verse, the points that Prakriti, Prabhupada explained that the Prakriti means nature as well as Swarupa, or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body as the common living entity changes from one body to another. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising and moving before us and disappearing from our eyesight. And the second verse is यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharat and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. In this verse, Prabhupada explains that the word srajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to previous verse, this there is no creation of the Lord's form or body. Since all the forms are eternally existent, therefore Sajami means the Lord manifest himself as he is. Although Lord appears on schedule, namely end of Dwapar Yuga of 28th millennium of 8th Manu in one day of Brahma, still no obligation to adhere to such rules for him. So, and the last one is Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Translation: In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. In this verse, Prabhupada says that the two purposes here said that in this verse, that deliver to pious and to annihilate the miscreants. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons. But Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purposes of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastime. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatara is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. So, from these references, these three references, we can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears in his own body, which eternal and not material. Lord Krishna appears in one day of Brahma, as he is like in Golok Vrindavan, in his original form, with two hands and flutes in his hands. In the last the main purpose of his advent is to appease pure devotees. Pure devotees are very anxious to see his original Vrindavan pastimes. These pastimes are the topmost, and only with unalloyed devotional service devotees can relish these pastimes. Later, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed this love of Godhead in form of Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So these are the points for those two, the first 2 points that I was discussed, and the third, the last one, is the pastime of Krishna or Janma. This is the reference I got Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 2, verse 16, where the demigods offered the prayers. And I'll just quickly read. Bhagwan Bhagwanapi Vishwatma Bhaktanam Abhayankara Avivishesham Bhagena Man Anak Dundubhe. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudev in full opulence. So here, from the purport, what I make some notes that Srila Prabhupada said that although unborn, the Lord, the master of everything, appears like a born child by entering the mind of a devotee. The Lord is already there within the mind, and consequently, it is not astonishing for him to appear as if born from a devotee's body. The word avishesha, avivishesh, avivesha signifies that the Lord appeared within the mind of Vasudeva. There was no need for a discharge of semen. Srila Veer Raghav Acharya also says that Vasudeva was one of the demigods and that within his mind the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as an awakening of consciousness. So in this verse we can see that the Lord Krishna first appeared in Vasudev's mind, and his birth is not ordinary. And further to further the references are the verse number 10.2.7 and 8. Mumurchur munayo devaha sumna sumnamsi mudanvitaha mandam mandam jaldhara jagarjuna jag, jagarjur anusangaram nishithe tam udbhute jayamane janardane devakyam devarupanyam vishnuhu sarva guhishya avir siddhata pracham disinduriva pushkalaha. Translation: the demigods and great saintly person showered flowers in a joyous mood, and clouds gathered in the sky and very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of the ocean's waves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was the same category as Sri Krishna. So in here we can understand that sorry, the points in purport is that those who are not in full knowledge that the appearance and disappearance of the Lord are transcendental, means Janma Karma Chame Divyam, are sometimes surprised that Supreme Personality of Godhead can take birth like an ordinary child. Actually, however, the Lord's birth is never ordinary. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is already situated within the core of everyone's heart as Antaryami, the super soul. Thus, because he was present in full potency in Devaki's heart, he was also able to appear outside her body. The Lord is one, but he can appear in everyone's heart by his inconceivable potency. Thus, although the Lord was within the heart of Devaki, he appeared as her child. And in Brahma Samhita also it confirms that the Lord is situated in every, even within the atom. Andantarastha Parmanu Chayantarastham. He is situated in Mathura, in Vaikuntha, and in the core of heart. Therefore, one should clearly understand that he did not live like an ordinary child in the heart of the womb of Devaki, nor did he appear like an ordinary human child, although he seemed to do in order to bewilder asuras like Kamsa. The asuras wrongly think that Krishna took birth like an ordinary child and passed away from this world like an ordinary man. Such asuric conceptions are rejected by persons in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 6 is stated that the Lord is Aja, unborn, and he is the supreme controller of everything. Nonetheless, he appeared as the child of Devaki. Understanding the special significance of the appearance of the Supreme Godhead, one should never regard him as having taken birth like an ordinary child. So here, we can understand that the birth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not like an ordinary child. He is first descended, manifested in the mind of Vasudev, and then from Vasudev to Devaki's heart, and from there he manifested. So is this the verse, that the famous verse, that Janma Karma Chame Divyam Yo Veti Tatvataha Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So this verse, so this how we can understand his the transcendental nature of his appearance. That Lord is not an ordinary living being; he is a supreme personality of Godhead, and being a supreme personality of Godhead, there is other couple of verses. I made the points. That is the same canto, chapter 2, verse 17. It refers about the Dham. The Dham refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. In Srimad Bhāgavatam, the first canto, first chapter, first verse, it is said, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirahasta Kuhukum Satyam Param Dhimahi. In the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no influence of material energy. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, fame, and qualities, or paraphernalia, immediately becomes a dhama. For example, we speak of Vrindavan Dham, Dwarka Dham, and Mathura Dham, because in these places the name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are always present. Similarly, if one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to do something, the core of his heart becomes a dham. So when Lord descended in the heart of Vasudeva and Devaki, it's become like a dham where Lord is present. And the second reference is the next verse, number 18, that as indicated here by the word Manastaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the core of Vasudeva's mind or heart to the core of the heart of Devaki. We should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary ways for a human being, but by Diksha initiation. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here. Unless one is initiated by the right person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. The other words, Achyutam Sam, is specifically used here, signifying that the Lord is always present with his plenary expansions and opulences. There is no need to think of the Lord artificially, as yogis do. Yogis meditate upon the Supreme Personal Person within the mind. But for a devotee, however, the Lord is present, and his presence need only be awakened through initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. The Lord did not need to live within the womb of Devaki, for his presence within the core of her heart was sufficient to carry him. Sri Veer Raghavacharya writes, the Supreme Lord's entrance into the womb of Devaki from the heart of Vasudeva was a heart-to-heart relationship. So this is the last point that I just mentioned, that this process is heart-to-heart relationship. That when we purify our existence, our heart purifies, and then we are qualified to invite Lord in there, because Lord is always manifest from heart. And although he's already present there, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, that he's already Antaryami, he's as a super soul, and he's always giving our instructions through that super soul in our heart. And but because of the lot of contamination or all the material conditioning that we have for time immemorial, we are unable to listen those instructions or listen the super soul in our heart. And so Krishna's Janma Lila, that Krishna first manifest in heart, that's the point that stand out for me. And that's what I realized from these verses, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev Prabhu. It was very detailed and pinpointed. Thank you very much for this. Hare Krishna. Yes, now I didn't realize. I thought we'll be struggling for 2.5 hours, but we are very much doing online, onto it with the timing. So please feel free, who would like to speak now. And I can see slowly as we approach 12 o'clock, all are putting their cameras off now, must be struggling. At the end of it, I'll be the alone single, showing my face as I promised to all of you. Okay. Yes, please feel free, Prabhu's Mataji's, because I have to give my realizations as well. So please don't delay. Hare Krishna. Welcome back, Sridhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Madhuri Prabhu, please continue.
Yeah, just I have a few minutes. in the work. Just want to go through that Krishna Janmashtami realization. I just want to start some qualities of Krishna, and we are all know most of the qualities. I just want to go through 64 qualities what Krishna have. Actually, one devotee praised the bodily feature of Krishna when he saw the Lord, his manifested personal future. And again, our Goswamis, like a Srila Rupa Goswami, he, after consulting various scriptures, so then now, and as enumerated the transcendental qualities of the Lord as follows. These qualities, what I am going to say, just one by one, Krishna have. So I just go through one by one, like a beautiful future of the entire body. The second one is the marked with all auspicious characteristics, extremely pleasing, effulgent, strong. When I say strong, like when Krishna, when he was child, he come across many demons, and he easily wiped out like a throwing out like a cotton bud in the air, and that is so strong. And next one, sixth one is ever youthful. And if you see even Krishna at the last, before he going to go back to his godhead, even he was almost all 125 years age, but still, can you see any, he got have any wearing glasses or wearing using walking stick? No, he's always youthful. And the next seventh one is wonderful linguistic. And again, the eighth one is the truthful. So as you say, truthful, and here it comes, a person of word of honor is never broken, is called truthful. So Krishna once promised Kunti he would bring her 5 sons back from the battlefield of Kurukshetra. After the battle was finished, when all the Pandavas had come home, Kunti praised Krishna because his promise was, so nicely fulfilled. She said, even the sunshine may one day become cool and the moonshine one day become hot, but still your promise will not fail. See, that's really, keep his promise, truthfulness. And the ninth one is talk pleasingly. The 10th one is fluent. 11th highly learned, and he delivered the message to Arjuna. Is so, and 12th one is highly intelligent, a genius. 13th, 14th is artistic, and 15th is extremely clever. 16 expert, and 17 is grateful. And 18 is firmly determined. 19 an expert judge of time and circumstances. 20th is sees and speaks on the authority of Vedas or scriptures. 21 is pure, and 22nd is self-control. 23rd is steadfast, and 24th is the forbearing, and 25 is forgiving, and 26 grave, and 27 is self-satisfied, and 28 possessing equilibrium, and 29 is magnanimous, and 30 is religious, 31 heroic, 32 compassionate. Like you can see the compassion when you understand when Parikshit Maharaj he was in the mother's womb, Angushtamala Mahamalam, just is protected Brahmastra. He appeared in the form of Shankar, Shakra, Gada, Padma, and protected Parikshit Maharaj. So this is so compassionate that for the devotees. The 33 is respectful, 34 gentle, 35 is liberal, 36 is shy, the next 37 the protector of surrendered soul, and 38 is happy, 39 the well-wisher of devotees. So this is very, I think many of the devotees now, they realize how Krishna was kind and is protecting the devotees in all the circumstances. 40 is the controlled by love, 41 all auspicious, the next most powerful, all famous, popular, partial to devotees, very attractive to all women, all worshipable, all opulent, all honorable, the supreme controller. So this is uh, what we discuss up to 15. The next and another 5, we can see Lord Krishna possesses 5 more. What is those one? And which are sometimes partially manifested in this in persons of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. And these transcendental qualities as follows. You can see this: changeless, all cognizant, ever fresh, and possessing an eternal blissful body, say Satchidananda Vigraha, possessing all mystic perfection. So I covered 55th, and the next another 5 more qualities he have, and also which are manifested in Lord of Narayana. They're listed as follows: he has inconceivable potency, and next one, uncountable universes generated from his body. I think couple of weeks we are discussing Bhagavad Gita. We understanding Kshirodakashai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and Karandakashai Vishnu, and this is how uh, the body generates Mahatattva. And the 58 is the original source of all incarnation, and the 59 is he is the giver of salvation to the enemies whom he kills. And we all know, even though when he kills, he delivers those souls. And the 60th is the attractor of liberated souls. So up to I covered the 60th, and the next another 4 more qualities, and Krishna has 4 more. What is that? Which are not manifest even in the Narayan form of Godhead. What to speak of the demigod or living entities? And those are like he is the performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes. And we know especially from his childhood, his pastimes are begins. So then 62nd is surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. And the 63rd, he can attract all living entities all over the universe by playing on his flute. And the last one, I would say, he has a wonderful excellence of beauty which cannot be rivaled anywhere in the creation. And these 64 qualities, and today we are remembering, especially the Lord Janmashtami day. It's very important for us. And also once when Prabhupada was preaching Krishna conscious all over the world, once it happens in the evening when he went to Hyderabad he come across one archaeologist, and he asked the question to Prabhupada, Swamiji, this Hare Krishna movement, just dancing, kirtan, and feasting, and some hearing, and what all? Just you have to do some social, and service, and he asked the question. So by doing all this, what is this, Prabhupada? And the Prabhupada says, so what you are? So I am an archaeologist. Okay. And what are you doing? So I am studying the primitive people, and Prabhupada's answer is we are Krishna conscious. We are understanding the advance or making the people advance, like advanced people. So this is how the archaeologists now finally come to know what exactly is. So this is very important, and Krishna conscious by the association. That's what I always pray to Lord. At least if we can't give any ways, doesn't matter any place, but always have a like-minded association, even after life. That's only I can enjoy in this, the conditioned states. This is my realization, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu. 64 qualities of Krishna. Very nicely described. Hare Krishna. Yes, please. Anyone else like to say? Please feel free. No one? I'll wait for 10 seconds more. Please feel free. Jump in and say.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I'll try. I'm just coughing a lot, so I'm not sure how long I can go.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for all your wonderful realizations. I was just reading Srila Prabhupada's lecture, one of Srila Prabhupada's lecture in London. And it was so amazing. And when I was listening to everyone's realizations, I realized that everybody has covered these points very nicely. I'm just going to actually try to read the lecture. This was in London on 21st of August 1973, and it was on Lord Sri Krishna's appearance day. I'm not going to read the whole lecture, just a few points that really are very striking. Almost all the lectures, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned this verse, Janma Karma Me Divyam Yanati Tattvata Tattva Deham Punar Janma Naiti Mam Iti Kaunteya. This fact that we can achieve such a stage of life when we can stop our birth and death. Sa Prithvya Kalpate. This morning, I was explaining this verse. Ishvara Param Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Satchidananda Vigraha. God, Krishna. When I speak Krishna, that means God. If there is any important name, God, it is sometimes said God has no name. That's a fact. But God's name is given by his activities. Just like Krishna accepted the sonhood of Maharaj Nanda or Yashoda Mai or Devki or Vasudev. Vasudev and Devki were Krishna's real father and mother. Nobody is real father and mother of Krishna because Krishna is the original father of everyone. But when Krishna comes here, advents, he accepts some devotees as his father, as his mother. Krishna is the original Adi Purusham. Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yovanam Cha. He is the original person. Then must be very old. No. Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam cha. Always fresh youth. That is Krishna. When Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, you have seen the picture. He is just like a boy of 20 years or at most 24 years old. But at that time, he had great grandchildren. Therefore, Krishna is always youth. Nava Yauvanam cha. These are the statements of Vedic literatures. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atbhakta. So to understand Krishna simply, if we read as a formality the Vedic literature, it will be very difficult to understand what is Krishna. Vedeshu Durlabham. Although all the Vedas are meant for understanding Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Vedesha Sarvam Aham Eva Vedyo. Aham Eva Vedyo. What is the use of studying Vedas if you do not understand Krishna? Because the ultimate goal of education means to understand the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Cause. As it is said in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadi Asya Yata, Athato Brahma Jignasa. Brahma Jignasa, to discuss about the Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahman. What is that Brahman? Janmadi Asyayata. That Brahman means where from everything emanates. So science, philosophy means to find out the ultimate cause of everything. That we are getting from the Shastras, Vedic literature, that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Cause of all causes. Just like, try to understand. I'm caused by my father. My father is caused by his father. He is caused by his father, his father. Go on searching, then you will ultimately come to somebody who is the cause. But he has no cause. Anadir Adir Govinda. I may be the cause of my son, but I'm also the result of the cause, my father. But the Shastra says that Anadir Adir, he is the original person, but he has no cause. That is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says that Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Yo Janati Tattvataha. The advent of Krishna, it is very important thing. We should try to understand Krishna, why he advents, why he comes on this material world, what is his business, what are his activities. If we simply try to understand Krishna, then what is the result? The result is Tvakta Deham Punar Janma Naiti Mam Iti Kaunteya. You get that immortality. The aim of life is to achieve immortality. Amritya Vaya Kalpate. So in the advent of Krishna, we shall try to understand the philosophy of Krishna. Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suruddham Sarvabhutanam Natvamam Shantim Ichchati. If the politicians, diplomats, they are trying to establish peace in the world, the United Nations is there, and there are many other organizations. They are trying to have real peace and tranquility. No misunderstanding between man to man, nation to nation. But that is not happening. That is not happening. The defect is that in the root is wrong. Everyone's thinking it is my country, it is my family, it is my society, it is my property. This mind is illusion. In the Shastra, it is said, Janasya moha yam aham mameti. This I and my philosophy is illusion. So this illusion means Maya. Maya. If you want to get out of this illusion, Maya, then you have to accept the Krishna's formula. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Everything is there in the Bhagavad Gita for guidance if we accept the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Everything is there. Peace is there, prosperity is there. So that is a fact. Unfortunately, we do not accept it. That is our misfortune. Or we misinterpret it. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Krishna says that you always think of me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Become my devotee. Mad yaji. You worship me. Mam namaskuru. And offer obeisances unto me. Is it very difficult task? Here is Krishna's deity. If you think of this deity, Radha Krishna, it is very difficult? Man mana. You come into the temple and just as a devotee offers respect to the deity, man mana bhava mad bhakto. As far as possible, try to worship the deity. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Krishna does not want your whole property. Krishna is open to the poorest man for being worshipped. What is he asking? He says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. With devotion, if a person offers me a little leaf, a little fruit, a little water, I accept it. Krishna is not hungry, but Krishna wants to make you devotee. That is the main point. Yome bhaktya prayashati. That is the main principle. If you offer Krishna little things, Krishna is not hungry. Krishna is providing food for everyone. Eko yo bahunam vidadati kaman. But Krishna wants your love, your devotion. Therefore, he is begging, little patram pushpam phalam toyam. Man mana bhava mana bhakto. There is no difficulty in understanding Krishna and to accept Krishna consciousness. But we will not do that. This is our disease. Otherwise, it is not difficult at all. And as soon as we become devotee of Krishna, we understand the whole situation. Our philosophy, Bhagavad philosophy, is also communism because we consider Krishna the Supreme Father and all living entities, they are all sons of Krishna. So Krishna says that he is a proprietor of all planets, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Therefore, whatever there is, either in the sky or in the water or in the land, they are all Krishna's property. And because we are all sons of Krishna, therefore every one of us has a right to use the Father's property. But we should not encroach upon others. That is a formula of peace. Magrida kasya svidanam, ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to God. You are the sons of God. You have got the right to use Father's property, but do not take more than you need. That is punishable. These things are stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Stena eva se uchate. In the Bhagavad Gita, he is a thief. If anyone takes more than he needs, then he is a thief. I'm just going to the next point. This is the last point that Srila Prabhupada makes. Bharat bhumite manusya janma hoilo, yara janma sarthaka kari para upakar. So Indians are meant for para upkar. Indians are not meant for exploiting others. That is not Indians' business. Indian history is all along for para upkar. And formerly, from all parts of the world, used to come to India to learn what is spiritual life. Even Jesus Christ went there, and from China and from other countries. That is history. And we are forgetting our own asset, how much we are callous. Such a great movement, Krishna consciousness, is going on all over the world, but our Indians are callous, our government is callous, they do not take. That is our misfortune. But it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. He says, anyone, Bharata Bhumite Manushya Janma, if he is a human being, he must make his life perfect by taking advantage of this Vedic literature and distribute the knowledge all over the world. That is Para Upkar. So India can do, they're actually appreciating. Also, I felt that I should just read something from Srila Prabhupada's Ever Well-Wisher, because it is Srila Prabhupada's appearance day tomorrow, and without him, we wouldn't know about Krishna as we know about him, Krishna. So I'll take about 2 minutes because I think this was a book that actually changed my life. And I would recommend everyone to read this book. If you don't have time to read the full Lilamrita, then at least the smaller version, which is called Your Ever Well-Wisher. This one book, if you start reading, you wouldn't keep it down. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, so chapter 1, Struggling Alone, Calcutta, August 13, 1965. The Jaladuta is a regular cargo carrier of India's steam navigation company, but there is a passenger cabin aboard. During the voyage from Calcutta to New York in August and September of 1965, the cabin was occupied by Sri Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, whose age was listed as 69 and who was taken on board bearing a complimentary ticket with food. The Jaladuta, under the command of Captain Arun Pandya, whose wife was also on board, left at 9 a.m. on Friday, August 13. In his Bhaktivedanta Swami noted, the cabin is quite comfortable. Thanks to Lord Krishna for enlightening Sumati Muraji for all these arrangements. I'm quite comfortable. But on the 14th, he reported seasickness, dizziness, vomiting, Bay of Bengal, heavy rains, more sickness. On the 19th, when the ship arrived at Colombo, Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, Bhaktivedanta Swami was able to get relief from his seasickness. The captain took him ashore and he traveled around by car. Then the ship went on toward Cochin. Janmashtami, the appearance day of Lord Krishna, fell on the 20th of August that year. Bhaktivedanta Swami took the opportunity to speak to the crew about the philosophy of Lord Krishna, and he distributed prasadam he had cooked himself. August 21 was his 70th birthday, observed at sea. The same day the ship arrived, and Bhaktivedanta Swami's trunks of Srimad Bhāgavatam volumes, which had been shipped from Mumbai, were loaded on board. By the 23rd, the ship had put out to Red Sea, where Bhaktivedanta Swami encountered great difficulty. He noted in his diary, rain, seasickness, dizziness, headache, no appetite, vomiting. In 2 days, he suffered 2 heart attacks. He tolerated the difficulty, meditating on the purpose of his mission. But after 2 days of such violent attacks, he thought that if another were to come, he would certainly not survive. On the night of the second day, he had a dream. Lord Krishna, in his many forms, was roving aboard, and he told Bhaktivedanta Swami that he should not fear, but should come along. Bhaktivedanta Swami felt assured of Lord Krishna's protection, and the violent attacks did not recur. So, I just thought that it was very important to sometimes focus on who has given us the knowledge, and of course, be grateful to Srila Prabhupada and to your spiritual master, my spiritual master, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, for giving us this shelter and understanding Krishna consciousness. I just would like to take one more minute and just say that if I think of Krishna, there is 1 or 2 qualities which really, really comes to my mind always, and I find it very attractive. And the first quality is that Krishna came as himself, and he came as God, and so he has this quality, I can do anything. And I really like that, because that's what the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be. And the second thing I really, really always remember is how he makes arrangements, and he can change things for the pleasure of his devotees. Where there was a fight between Arjuna and Jayadratha, and he was about to kill him. And if Jayadratha wouldn't kill Arjun by, Arjun wouldn't kill Jayadratha by sunset, then Arjuna had said that he will light himself on a pyre. And then the sunset happens, and then after that, Krishna, the sun is just behind the clouds and then comes back again. So it's a very beautiful story there. And I was just thinking that if you're under Krishna's protection, then you don't need to worry about anything. And you can just let him be your guiding force. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Purnapagya Devidasi for your nice realizations, and also for Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, which is coming up tomorrow. It's coming up in a few minutes now. Okay, I think next time for this kind of big events, we must have about 4 or 5 hours. You know, this is falling too short. You know, and I'm asking so many people to speak. Well, now you had your chance. I'm jumping in. Hare Krishna. So I would like to say from a couple of points. I'm running against time now because I realize 12 o'clock means fast breaking time and nobody's going to listen to me. I tell you, nobody can come in between prasadam and philosophy. Prasadam always wins, you know. Okay. So couple of main important points. I have to actually cover quite a bit of things. When Kamsa was carrying and taking his sister and his brother-in-law in a chariot, you know, at that time, the message from the sky came, okay, about what's going to happen. And I was always wondered that how was he convinced by Vasudev not to kill? So that was answered in one of the commentaries in the Garga Samhita. So in Garga Samhita, there's a reference of it. I'll just read very quickly. After the marriage, Vasudeva and Devaki were seated upon a chariot, and the bride's cousin brother Kamsa, being very delighted, took up the reins. As they were traveling along the road, celestial voice suddenly announced from the sky, "O foremost of kings, why are you overjoyed? The 8th son of Devaki will be the cause of your death." Now, problem, you know. I can think, why did you say this? He was carrying, everything would have been okay, but no, they had to say this, you know. So creating problem. Upon hearing this, Kamsa panicked. Taking out his sword, he was prepared to kill Devaki at once. Vasudev, being horrified, restrained him while saying, he was the most important diplomat, Vasudev. He said, "O king, consider the disgrace you will incur by killing your sister at the time of her marriage. You are not in danger now because it has been predicted that her 8th son will be the cause of your death." Now you see, this is how he is trying to convince. This is new information. One who kills an insignificant creature can atone for that sinful act simply by giving charity. For the killing of a non-ferocious animal, one can repent, because that sin awards a person 100 times the reaction of killing a ferocious animal. This is the law handed down by Manu. One earns 100 times that sin by killing a malecha, and 100 times more is received by killing a Shudra. The sin of killing 100 Shudras is obtained by killing a Vaishya. The killing of 10 Vaishyas equals to killing a cow. And killing of 10 cows is equivalent to killing a Brahmana. The killing of 10 Brahmanas is equal to killing of a woman. Because Devaki is your sister, to kill her would be equivalent to killing 100 ordinary women. So you see, killing of the woman is more distinct than killing a Brahmana. You see, this is something new. We are more concerned as devotees of offending Brahmanas. So see here. So, O king, intelligent persons perform pious acts for the purpose of attaining heaven after death. Therefore, give up your fear and let your sister live. Rest assured that when a son of Devaki is born, I will hand over the child to you for necessary action. After hearing Vasudev's promise, wicked Kamsa released Devaki, knowing that her husband was a man of his word. Vasudeva and Devaki were taken home, and thereafter, when 6 sons were born to Devaki, Vasudeva presented them to Kamsa as he had promised. Each time Vasudeva presented him with a newborn son, Kamsa mercilessly killed the child. Thereafter, Yogamaya transferred the 7th embryo of Devaki to the womb of Rohini and Gokul. The gatekeeper informed Kamsa that Devaki had a miscarriage. When the child was born of Rohini, he was given the name Sankarshan. Child was transferred. Now, there are vivid descriptions of who Kamsa is, who is Devaki, who is Vasudeva in their past lives. So some are mentioned here, some are mentioned in other references, which are really very nice. But they'll be going very deep. It's beyond our time at the moment. But listen very carefully here. So when Devaki became pregnant once again, the 8th child now, her beauty and luster was extraordinary. When Kamsa gazed upon his sister, he became convinced that this was the child that would be the cause of his death. Kamsa had imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki and had kept very close watch over them. When the time for the delivery of Devaki's child arrived, it was very stormy night at Mathura. That night, all the palace guards mysteriously fell into a deep sleep. At midnight, when all the planets were in a most auspicious arrangement, Lord Krishna appeared before Devaki. Lord Krishna had 2 arms and was holding a flute. He was dressed in a yellow garments and was decorated with costly garments. A peacock feather adorned his head, and on his chest was the mark of Srivatsa. Vasudeva offered his prayers to the Lord. Okay, first 4 hands, then 2 hands. Lord Krishna said, I have appeared as your son as a consequence of your previous performance of austerities. Long ago, you were the Prajapati named Sutapa, and Prishni was your wife. When you attained my darshan, you asked to have a son like me. I awarded you this benediction and then thought, there is no one else within this universe comparable to me. Therefore, I will become your son. In your next birth, you became Kashyapa and your wife became Aditi. Your appearance as Vasudeva is a partial incarnation of Kashyap, just as Devaki is a partial incarnation of Aditi. Previously, I appeared as your son, Vamana, and now I am again your son, Krishna. My dear Vasudeva, you must now carry me to Vraj and exchange me with the daughter, Yogamaya, who has been born to Nanda's wife, Yashoda. After saying this, Krishna transformed himself into what looked like an ordinary boy, baby boy. Vasudeva picked up Krishna, the child Krishna, and proceeded to Gokul. Upon coming to Nanda's residence, Vasudeva entered the maternity room and found Yashoda sleeping with a newborn baby girl. Indeed, everyone else, including Nanda, was also fast asleep. So without difficulty, Vasudeva placed baby Krishna next to Yashoda and picked up her newborn baby girl, Yogamaya or Mahamaya. Vasudeva returned to Mathura with a girl child and presented her to Devaki. The baby woke up the guards with her cries. And so they came and took a look at her and took her to Kamsa. Vasudeva and Devaki followed the guards. Being very pained at heart, Kamsa was surprised to see that Devaki's child was a girl, because the celestial voice had predicted that it would be a boy. Still, the cruel king picked up and prepared to dash her onto the stone floor. Vasudeva and Devaki implored Kamsa to refrain from his ghastly act, asking him to consider how a helpless woman could be the cause of his death. Now we're coming to Krishna's birth. So it's good to remember Krishna's coming, Kamsa said, you should understand. No, Kamsa is saying this. Okay, you should understand that destiny is very strong. By the will of destiny, a small insect can kill a tiger, a mouse can kill a cat, or a frog can kill a serpent. Just consider how a sage Jahanu drank the water of the great ocean. The ways of destiny are incomprehensible. Just see how clever he is. By the will of destiny, this tiny girl might kill me, and for this reason, I will kill her. Saying this, Kamsa prepared once again to dash the baby girl upon the stone floor. Just then, a celestial voice announced. Again, voice comes. When another problem, Oh, foolish Kamsa, the one who is going to kill you has already born in another place. Again, information is given to Kamsa. After hearing this, Kamsa spared the baby girl's life, and so being very delighted, Vasudeva and Devaki took her home. This child was a partial incarnation of goddess Parvati and was given the name Ekanamsha. When she grew up, Vasudeva gave her in marriage to the great sage Durvasa Muni, who was a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. This marriage took place at the time when Krishna married Rukmini. Narad Muni said, O sage, what kind of austerities did Nanda, Yashoda, and Rohini perform so that they could attain Krishna and Balaram as their children? Kindly tell me about this in detail. Narayan Rishi, so Narayan Rishi, this is Narayan Rishi of Narayan saying this. He's got the preview of information, you see. So Narayan Rishi said, once long ago, the Vasu, Drona, along with his wife Dhara, performed austerities for 10,000 years near the Gandhamandana mountain at the ashram of Gautama on the shore of Suprabha river. Their desire was to obtain the darshan of Lord Krishna. But after that period, when their aspiration had still not been attained, they prepared a fire with the intention of entering it as a means of giving up their lives. Just at that time, a voice from the sky announced, you will have the darshan of Lord Krishna on the earth at Gokul when he becomes your son. Narayan Rishi. After hearing this, Drona and Dhara returned home. It was in their next birth as Nanda and Yashoda that Krishna was given to them as their son. You see, this is the background. Narayan Rishi said, now hear the story of Rohini. Once after her menstrual period, Aditi sent a message to Kashyap. Because Kashyap had many wives, Aditi and so many wives. And then dressed and decorated herself very beautifully after bathing. She appeared very beautiful, as if she could easily attract the minds of even great sages. Being overwhelmed by passionate desire, Aditi repeatedly looked towards the path by which her husband to soon arrive. She expected her husband to soon arrive. However, instead of her husband, news came that Kashyap was currently enjoying with her other wife, Kadru, having placed his head on her breasts. Being frustrated due to her passion remaining unfulfilled, Aditi refrained from cursing her husband, but she did curse Kadru to be born as a human being upon the earth. When Kadru learned of this curse from the messengers, she cursed Aditi in return, saying that she would also be born on the earth and suffer from old age. Upon hearing this, Kashyap informed Kadru that he would accompany her on her sojourn upon the earth, because at that time they would have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See how Krishna plans this, We think they are cursing each other, but Krishna is planning all this for his appearance. After speaking with Kadru, Kashyap went to Aditi and satisfied her passion so that Indra was born. Therefore, Aditi appeared as Devaki, Kadru appeared as Rohini, and Kashyap appeared as Vasudeva. Rohini was also the wife of Vasudeva. For her protection from wicked King Kamsa, Vasudeva had sent her to Gokul to live under the care of Nanda Maharaj. Sankarshan was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini by Yogamaya on the order of the Lord. Thus, in due course of time, Balram was born as a son of Rohini. Jai. So this is the background about this. Now, I don't know how much time I've got. As I said, I've got 4 minutes. What I'm going to speak now will take us about 20 minutes. I think I will lose. But I want to say something about Garga Muni performs Krishna's name-giving ceremony. And descriptions of Radhika's wedding. This from Garga Samhita. This is very magical. This will transport you to a different world. Let's take the chance. Okay. If you want to go, you can leave. I will not feel any offended by this. You can break your fast. Many of you are breaking without water. So please, I'll read now. It's very beautiful. Narad Muni said, one day, sent by Vasudev, the great saint Garga Muni came with his disciples to Nanda's palace. Following the rules of tradition, Nanda worshipped the great sage, washing his feet and offering him many things. He then circumambulated him and offered obeisances, falling down like a stick. Sri Nanda said, today the pious forefathers, demigods and fire gods are all pleased with us. Our home is now purified by the dust of your feet. O great Brahmana sage, please perform my son's name-giving ceremony. O Lord, even by visiting many sacred pilgrimages, one cannot attain what is attained by your visit. Sri Garga Muni said, I will perform your son's name-giving ceremony. Of this there is no doubt. I will tell you where he was before. O Nanda, go to a secluded place. So name-giving is not given just like that. Because giving information about his past life also of Krishna. So come to a secluded place. Garga Muni rose and went with Nanda, Yashoda, and the two boys to a secluded place in the cowshed. There he performed the name-giving ceremony. After worshipping the deities headed by Ganesha, and after carefully appeasing the deities on the planets, the great saint Garga Muni, happy in every limb, spoke to Nanda. Garga Muni said, please hear the explanation of Rohini's son's name. The yogis find their happiness Ramante in him, or he is the greatest enjoyer, Ramati, or with his transcendental qualities he delights Ramyati, the devotees, or with his transcendental qualities he delights Ramyati, the devotees. For these reasons the sages know him as Ram, because he was pulled, Sankarshan, from the womb. He is also known as Sankarshan. Because when the universe is annihilated, he alone remains, Avashesha. The sages know him as Shesha. He is extremely strong, Bala. They know him as Bala. O Nanda, please be attentive and hear the names of your son. His names at once purify the living entities. His names are the auspicious of all universes. Now Krishna's name is coming, okay? In his name, the letter Ka stands for Kamalakant, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Ra stands for Ram, the supreme enjoyer. Sha stands for Shada Guna Pati, the master of 6 opulences. And Shweta Dvipa or Shweta Dvipa Nivasa Krut, the Lord of resides in Shweta Dvipa. Vishnu Lord resides in Shweta Dvipa. You know? Na stands for Lord Nrsinga. A stands for Akshara, that is the immortal, or Agni Bhuk, That is the Lord who enjoys the offerings of Agnihotra Yagnas. And the letter Ha stands for Nara Narayana Rishi. In this way, these 6 letters combine to become the name of the Supreme Person, Krishna. In this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Krishna in white, red, and yellow forms. He appears in the yugas, one after another. Now, at the end of Dwapar Yuga and at the beginning of Kali Yuga, he has a dark Krishna complexion. For this reason, he is named Krishna. He is this boy, the son of Nanda. The word Vasu means the senses, and the word Deva means the heart. Because he acts in the heart and the senses of the living entities, he is known as Vasudev. He is the husband Pati of Radha. What did he say? He is the husband, the Pati of Radha. King Vrishabhanu's daughter, born in the palace of Queen Kirtida, and therefore he is known as Radhapati. He is original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the master of countless universes. He splendidly manifests in the transcendental abode of Goloka. That same Supreme Personality is now born as your child. He has come to remove the earth's burden, to kill the demons headed by Kamsa, and to protect the devotees. O descendant of King Bharat, according to his different pastimes, your son will have names without end, names that are even confidential to the Vedas. Do not be surprised at what he is able to do. Ah, how fortunate you are, appearing as a small child, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than the greatest, now stays in your home. Garga Muni said this and left. The noble-hearted King Nanda, along with his wife, thought about the great blessing they had received. The great philosopher, teacher, and sage Garga Muni then went to King Vrishabhanu's beautiful palace on the Yamuna's shore. Seeing Garga Muni, who was the greatest of philosophers, Garga Muni goes to Vrishabhanu's place. Seeing Garga Muni, who was the greatest of philosophers, who was the Brahmana tiger of sages, who decorated with a parasol, was like a second King Indra, holding a stick was like a second Yamraj. His bodily luster illuminating the directions was like a second sun god. A great book at his belt was like a second Lord Brahma, and was dressed in white garments, stood like Lord Vishnu himself. Noble King Vrishabhanu rose up at once with great respect, bowed his head, stood with folded hands, placed the sage on a great throne, washed his feet, presented many offerings, circumambulated him, and worshipped him according to the rules of scriptures. Shri Vishnu said, the peaceful wandering of saints is meant to bring peace to householders. It is a saint and not the sun that removes the darkness in the hearts of men. How beautiful. O Lord, by seeing you, we Gopas have gone on pilgrimage. Saints like you sanctify the sacred places in this world. O sage, my daughter is named Radhika. She is the abode of great auspiciousness. To whom should I give her in marriage? Please tell me your opinion. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the 3 worlds. I wish to give my daughter to a splendid husband who will be her equal. Taking Vrishabhanu's hand, the great sage Sri Garga Muni went to a beautiful and secluded place on the Yamuna's shore. Again, took him secluded place. making the king Gopa Vrishabhanu sit at a place where the Yamuna's waves were making great sound. Garga Muni, the king of sages and the knower of the religion, spoke. Sri Garga Muni said, O Gopa, do not tell this secret. Sri Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who's the master of countless universes, the king of Goloka, greater than the greatest, and the Lord than whom there is no better husband, has taken birth in Nanda's home. Shri Vrishabhanu said, how fortunate for Nanda. O great sage, please tell me everything why Sri Krishna has descended to this world. Shri Garga Muni said, to remove the earth's burden and to kill the demons headed by Kamsa by the demigod Brahma's request, Lord Krishna has appeared on the surface of the earth. Sri Radhika, who is Lord Krishna's chief queen in Golok. So Radhika is what? Krishna's chief queen in Golok Vrindavan, has appeared in your home. You do not understand her exalted position. Delighted and astonished, Vrishabhanu called Kalavati, and they both discussed with Garga Muni, and he had said what Garga Muni had said. Understanding the exalted position of Shri Radha Krishna and shedding tears of bliss, the exalted Gopa spoke to the great sage. Shri Vrishabhanu said, O Brahman, I will give my lotus-eyed daughter to him. You have revealed this path. You should perform the wedding ceremony. Shri Garga Muni said, O king, I will not perform their wedding ceremony. Their wedding will be performed in Bhandirvana. Bhandirvana. Remember this. It's going to come again. By the Yamuna's shore, the demigod Brahma will come and perform the wedding in a beautiful secluded place near Vrindavan forest. Please know that Radha is half of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's body. In the palace of Goloka, she is the queen of he who is the world's crest jewel. You Gopas have all come from Goloka by Sri Radhika's wish. The cows and the gopis have also come from Goloka. She whom even the demigods, and so what to speak of others who perform sacrifices for many births, cannot see. Many Gopas and gopis now see hidden in the courtyard of your palace. Joyful and filled with wonder by hearing Sri Radha Krishna's exalted glories, the husband and wife spoke to Garga, Sri Garga. The husband and wife said, O Brahman, please truthfully explain the meaning of the name Radha. O great sage, except for you, no one in this world can dispel our doubts. Is it interesting to you? I can stop here and we can break our fast. Please, it's no problem. I've studied this myself and I'm in ecstasy. I can go on. But please, it is much beyond. It's 12:10. Krishna appeared. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsav ki jai. I please don't mind. No problem. We can stop here. No harm. Yeah, stop. My home people are saying stop. You tell me. We go with majority wins. I don't mind. Tell me fast.
Please go on. Continue.
Saying please go on. No problem. There is no harm. I'm not feeling any offended by this. Thank you, Anishu. What about others, please? All of you are fasting,
Please continue.
Now you're forced, Don't be obliged. Don't be obliged.
Yes, Prabhuji. Continue. Maybe another 10 minutes, you said? 10,
I don't
15.
know. I'm trying my level best. After this, the marriage comes. It's very mystical.
Maybe I can quickly go and close the altar, probably.
Yeah, it's up to you. No problem at all. It's entirely up to you.
And then come back.
Yeah, you can do your things. No problem at all. Yeah. Sridhar Prabhu, what do you think?
Take it, Prabhuji. Yeah.
No. Don't worry about it. Unless there is full enthusiasm, there is no point. It's very confidential. That's all right. See, that's what happens, if I allow, then my time goes into this,
Take it, Prabhuji. Yeah, I'm happy.
It's okay. I think all of you are very tired, We must stop here. Okay? So thank you very much. Because if there is enthusiasm is not there, there's no point. We must have prasadam. As I said, prasadam always wins,
The prasad is all right, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay? So Sri Garga said, the husband and wife of Brahmana, please truthfully explain the meaning of the name Radha. O great sage, except for you,
To me.
no one in this world can dispel our doubts. Sri Garga Muni said, as a disciple, I had heard this from the mouth of Nar Narayan Rishi, when he was a disciple. As he was explaining the Samaved on Mount Gandhamadana, Ra stands for Rama, the goddess of fortune. Stands for Adi Gopika, the first of the gopis. Dha stands for Dhara, that is the earth. And stands for Viraja Nadi. There's a Viraja river. There's a big pastime of Viraja river also of Golok Vrindavan. It's also there. It's very beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's how the four potencies of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becomes his four wives, Leela, Bhu, Shri, and Viraja. Because these goddesses have now entered the form of Sri Radha, the wise say that Sri Radha is the original supreme goddess of fortune. Narad Muni said, those who again and again chant the names of Sri Radha Krishna attain Lord Krishna directly. What are the four goals of life for them? So what are the four goals for life of human beings? What are the four goals of life of human beings? Okay, I know. Sorry, you cannot think. We are now fighting with the food, hunger, So there is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Okay, religiosity, economic development. Okay, then what is it? Sense gratification and salvation, liberation. These are four which normally people aim for this. So what is this for? Against one who understands Sri Radha Krishna's love. When they understood Sri Radha Krishna's exalted glories, King Vrishbhanu and his dear wife became filled with wonder and bliss. After King Vrishbhanu had worshipped him, all-knowing Garga Muni, who was the best of the philosophers and the king of the sages, returned home. Herding the cows and holding the infant son in his arms, Nanda went to Bhandirvarna. Remember Bhandirvarna? That's where a marriage takes place, which trembled with the breezes coming from the Yamuna shore. At that time, by Krishna's desire, the sky became filled with clouds, and a strong wind fearfully moved the new tamal and kadamba twigs and made them fall. When a great and blindering darkness came, the frightened infant in his arm cried. Nanda became afraid. Clutching his boy, he took shelter of Lord Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, as an effulgence greater than millions of suns, converged on him from all directions. Nanda Maharaj, the king of the 9 Nandas, saw Vrishbhanu's daughter Radha, who was as fair and splendid as millions of moons, dressed in blue garments, decorated with anklets and ankle bells that tinkled sweetly, who wore tinkling bracelets and a tinkling belt, who was splendid with armlets, rings, and necklace, and who was opulent with a nose pearl, anklets, and a necklace of jewels and earrings. Overwhelmed by her effulgence, Nanda bowed down and with folded hands said, "He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you, O Radha, are his first beloved. I know this secret from the mouth of Gargamuni. O Radha, please take your Lord from my arms. Now that the clouds have frightened him, please take him home. As if I were a person controlled by the modes of material nature, I say that he is frightened. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please protect me. You are Krishna's most dear one. You are beyond the modes of material nature." Hearing these words, Sri Radha, who was as splendid as a host of moons, spoke to the king of the Gopas. Sri Radha said, "O noble-hearted one, ask for a benediction for anything you wish, for anything impossible for anyone to attain. I am pleased by your service, sincere devotion. O Nanda, it is very difficult for anyone to see me." Sri Radha says this. Sri Nanda said, "If you are pleased, then let me have firm faith, firm devotion for the lotus feet of you both. And let me have devotion of your devotees. Let me have their association. Let me have this millennium after millennium." He didn't ask you to go back to Godhead. See? Saying, "So be it," with both hands, Radha took Lord Hare from Nanda's arms. She went to Bhandirvana forest. At that time, the spiritual ground became the realm of Gokul. In a moment, everything was golden and studded with rubies and many other jewels. Vrindavan forest manifested a splendid transcendental form with beautiful trees, and the Yamuna's shore had jewel steps and golden palaces. Govardhan was made of jewels and had glittering golden peaks everywhere, maddened bees and caves beautiful with swiftly flowing streams. It was like a great gigantic elephant. Then the forest grove assumed its real form with many assembly houses, courtyards, splendid pavilions, bumblebees, the cooing of peacocks, paravatas, and cuckoos. It was filled with sweetness of spring. It was filled with roofs of gold and jewels, splendid with fluttering flags, and anointed with beautiful blossoming lake growing golden lotuses licked with swarms of black bees. This happened in Golok Vrindavan. It manifested in Vrindavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead became a teenage youth, splendid as a dark cloud, dressed in yellow garments, decorated with Kaustubha gem, holding a flute, and more enchanting than the great host of Kamadevs. Smiling, Lord Hare took his beloved by the arm and with the wedding paraphernalia went to the wedding pavilion, which was decorated with mekhalas, kusha grass, water pots, and many other things. Embracing and sweetly conversing on a beautiful throne, they shone like a splendid lightning flash in a dark cloud in the sky. Then Lord Brahma, the best of the demigods, came from the sky. Bowing down before Lord Krishna with folded hands, he eloquently and sweetly spoke. Sri Brahma said, I take shelter of you, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chandra, without beginning, the beginning of everything, affectionate to your devotees, the master of countless universes, greater than the greatest, and the husband of Radha. You are the playful king of Golok, and she is your playful companion. When you are the king of Vaikuntha, she, the daughter of Rishabhanu, is goddess Lakshmi. When in this world you are Ramachandra, she is Janaka's daughter Sita. When you are Lord Hari, she is Kamala. When you are Yagna Avatar, she is Shri Dakshina, the best of wives. When you are Nushimha, she is Rama. When you are Nara's friend Narayan Rishi, she becomes goddess Shanti and follows you like a shadow. When you are Brahman, she is Prakriti, nature. When you are time, the wise know that she is Pradhan. Remember Pradhan? We spoke of before Mahat Tattva happens, Mahat Tattva, before material world creates, Mahat Tattva happens. Mahat Tattva is still gross. In the subtle form, Mahat Tattva is called Pradhan. Many people can misunderstand Pradhan to be super soul. This is the point. Understand, many people understand Pradhan to be super soul, which is this. This is Radha. When you are Mahat Tattva, from which the universes are sprouted, Radha is the potency Maya, filled with the three modes. When you become the four things in the heart, she becomes the power of understanding something from a hint. When you become the universal form, she includes everything. She becomes the earth. So what are the four things in the heart? The four things in the heart are the heart, mind,
Intelligence,
and false ego. I take shelter of you, who are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, greater than the greatest, the Master of Golok Dham, and who now appears as a fair and dark splendor. A person who regularly recites these prayers describing the divine couple will go to the transcendental abode of Golok. Even in this world, he will be endowed with handsomeness, opulence, and many perfections. Greater than the greatest and perfect for each other, you are already a loving husband and wife. Still, following the ways of this world, I will now perform your wedding ceremony. Brahma then rose, ignited the sacred fire, and performed the wedding ceremony of the divine couple. Brahma performed the wedding ceremony for Lord Hari and Sri Radhika, he had them circumambulate the sacred fire and bow down before it. Then Brahma, the knower of the Vedas, recited the 7 mantras, placing Sri Radhika's hand on Lord Hari's chest and Lord Hari's hand on Sri Radhika's back. Brahma recited many mantras. With both hands, Sri Radha placed on Lord Krishna's neck a lotus garland filled with the humming of bees. With both hands, Lord Hari placed on Sri Radha's neck a similar garland. Then Brahma had them bow down before the sacred fire. Shri Radha Krishna ki jai. We didn't even know Radha and Krishna were married. Listen more. Placing the silent divine couple on two thrones. With folded hands, Brahma recited 5 mantras. Then, as a father gives away his daughter, Brahma gave away Sri Radha. The demigods showered flowers and demigoddesses danced with the Vidyadharis. The Gandharvas, Vidyadhars, Charanas, Kinnaras sang auspicious songs glorifying Lord Krishna. Again and again, the great demigods in heaven sounded many mridangas, Veenas, Murus, Yashtis, Venus, Shankhas, Anakas, and Talakas, calling out, glory means Jai. They made an auspicious sound. When Lord Hari said to Brahma, please ask whatever you wish as Dakshina. Brahma replied, O Lord, as Dakshina, please give me devotion to your lotus feet. See, he asked the same thing, when Nanda Maharaj asked. When Lord Hari said, so be it, Brahma again and again placed his head at the beautiful and auspicious lotus feet of Lord Hari and Shri Radhika. Thereafter, happy and humbly bowing down, Brahma departed for his own abode. Then, listen very carefully, then in the forest groves, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, ate 4 kinds of delicious divine food his beloved offered, and Shri Radha chewed betel nuts offered by Krishna. Taking his beloved's hand, Shri Hari walked in the forest groves, talking sweetly as he gazed at the beautiful Yamuna, Vrindavan forest, and the many flowing vines he walked. Krishna laughed and disappeared in a grove of beautiful flowering vines. Seeing him hiding behind a tree, Radha went up to him and grasped his yellow garment. Fleeing from Lord Hari's lotus hand, her feet thumping against the ground, she disappeared in a forest by the Yamuna, but was pulled out again by Lord Hari's hand. As a tamala tree with a vine of golden flowers, as a dark cloud with a lightning flash, and as a dark mountain with a mind of Nikasha stones, so Lord Hari was with beautiful Shri Radhika. In the beautiful secluded Rasa dance arena, Lord Hari enjoyed the nectar of the Rasa dance with Shri Radha. Lord Hari, the transcendental master of amorous pastimes, walked in Vrindavan forest with flowering vines and the sounds of peacocks and bees. The Supreme Lord Krishna danced with Shri Radha in the caves of Govardhan Hill, by the lakes and the swiftly moving streams, rapids and waterfalls, among the splendid flowering vines filled with intoxicated bumblebees. When they came to the Yamuna, Krishna enjoyed a charming pastime with King Vrishbhanu's daughter, taking the 100,000 petal lotus from Radha's hand. He suddenly dove into the Yamuna's water. Laughing, Radha quickly took Lord Hari's flute, stick, and yellow cloth. When Lord Hari said, give back my flute, she mocked him and said, give back my lotus. Lord Hari, the master of the demigods, gave her the lotus. Radha gave Lord Hari his flute, stick, and yellow cloth. And they continued to enjoy pastimes by the Yamuna's shore. Then in Bhandirvan forest, with many flowers, beautiful jewels, and pictures drawn in red yavak, black kajjala, and many other colors, he who is the jewel of the Vraj Gopas beautifully decorated his beloved. Means Krishna decorated Radhika in these colors. As Radha was about to decorate him, Lord Krishna suddenly abandoned his teenage form and again became an infant. Lord Krishna became an infant, crawling on the ground and crying, just as Nanda had given him before. When she saw Lord Hari in this way, Shri Radhika cried out, "O Lord Hari, why do you show this illusion to me?" As despondent Radha wept, a voice from the sky said, "O Radha, don't lament. In time, your desire will be fulfilled." Hearing this, Radha took Lord Hari and quickly went to the home of Vraja's queen, means Yashoda's house. Giving the child to Nanda's wife, she said, "Your husband gave him to me on the path." Nanda's wife said, "O Radha, O daughter of King Vrishbhanu, you are fortunate. When the sky was covered with clouds and my child became frightened in the forest, you protected him." After she was greatly honored and her transcendental virtues praised, Sri Vrishabhanu's happy daughter, taking permission from Mother Yashoda, slowly returned to her home. Sins will never touch those who hear, read silently, or create aloud or recite aloud this auspicious and confidential narration of the wedding of Sri Radha. Jai Shri Radha Krishna ki Jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsav ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Now tell me, this description, it took me to that place and brought me back, just like in the movie they show, magical place, and they're back there, How beautiful it is. So thank you very much. I'm wishing everyone a very happy Janmashtami. May this Janmashtami bring Krishna in our life. All of us who are present here and who listen to this discussion in the future, which has been recorded, so that we can celebrate Janmashtami not once a year, but we can celebrate Janmashtami not once a day, but we can celebrate Janmashtami with every breath that we take. That is how, if we want to see these pastimes about Radha and Krishna, then we have to come to this perfection of being in love with Krishna and Radha through Radha's mercy. There are many, many pastimes of Krishna and Radha, but this was very apt, which spoke about Krishna's birth. We discussed about Krishna's birth. We spoke about Krishna's parents, how did they came, Vasudeva and Devaki, their past life. We discussed about Nandamara and Yashoda, their past life, how they became. We then discussed about how Garga Muni gave the name of Krishna, the reasons behind the name, how each letter is referenced. We discussed about the birth of and the names of Balaram. Then we discussed about the names of Radha. We also discussed about the marriage of Radha and Krishna. And then when the illusion broke, they're back in the earthly pastime, and she gave back Krishna to Mother Yashoda. But that was original life. This is illusion. But for them, everything is clear. That is a point we have to understand. That we say Radha is girlfriend of Krishna. Yes, it's Parakiya Bhav. But in Golok Vrindavan, she is his queen. This is topmost secret. This secret of secret. Keep it within your heart. When you chant requesting Radharani's mercy. Please, Radharani, engage me in yours and Krishna's loving devotional service. Let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once before we finish. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Vyas Puja Mahotsav ki Jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahotsav ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Radhe Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna. Please break your fast.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Very
Thank you.
nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Please
Hare
go.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please break your fast. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please leave. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Praise.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very nice explanation.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Great.
Super kind association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you for nice realization too, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please, I'm waiting for you to go now. Go. Have prasadam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please, Hare Krishna. When everybody will go, then I'll go. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Anand ji, Hare Krishna, Priyanka ji. Hope you have wonderful Janmashtami and Srila Prabhupada Parents' Day. Hare Krishna.